Go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, people. Welcome to another episode of The Coach's Quarters. I am your host, Jacob Meadows, and today we are jumping off with actual content as opposed to an entire episode of thank yous and, just really breaking the show open. So today we are going to cover the AFC South, and I do have a treat for you today. Joining me here momentarily, I do have Mean Gene, the Sports King, joining us from ESPN. Can I say that, ESPN?
Sports Map Radio.
What is
Sports Map Radio.
Sports Map?
Sports Map Radio Network.
Mean Gene, the Sports King from Sports Map Radio, a good personal friend of mine and the guy who actually got me onto the podcasting platform in the first place. So he will be joining us as soon as we jump on to the actual content. I do have one massive shout out to give, and that is to my editor, Chris, who did an absolutely bang up job on the first episode. We got virtually nothing but positive feedback, little tidbits here and there of things that we could improve, but everybody lauded what Chris did for us. And, honestly, he makes me sound a whole hell of a lot better than I actually am. So huge shout out to Mr. Chris. Thank you for everything that you do. And with that being said, let's jump right in. I would like to introduce everybody to Mr. Mean Gene. Welcome to the Coach's Quarters, brother. How are you?
Well, first of all, Jacob, I'm just proud, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you took this thing serious and you're running with it, man. It's just good. It's almost like your teachers back in kindergarten in school, man. And they say, yeah, that kid's gonna turn out to be something, man. And check it out, man. Look at you. You got your hosting your own show, and I'm impressed.
It's a work in progress, but yeah, I had a couple of really good teachers. It turns out it's really not that hard if you pay attention and you kind of watch what the people who do it do. So I have a leg up on what most people would have, I would say, having you guys drag me along for as long as you did.
Good stuff.
So, all right, man, you ready? You ready to talk some football? It's almost time for football, man.
I am, Jacob, because they tease us with the Hall of Fame game, but it's just amazing how we were just. I sit down and ordered pizza, man. It's like getting ready for. It's just a freaking preseason game.
I get it, man. I did this. I ordered wings to the house. I got real excited. I don't even like the Hall of Fame.
That's that desperation that we missed because we haven't seen any football since February of this year.
No.
So we are ready.
So just starved of it. Yeah, I'm excited. This is going to be a good year too. We have some sick lineups coming. We have a lot of players that move teams. We have some juggernauts that got juggier. We've got some low end teams that got better. It should, quality wise for the NFL, this might be the best season that we've seen in a couple of years now, in my opinion.
And you know what? You're right, and this is what makes us hungry, because we just talked about before we came on the air, the free agents and the drafts, and you go through all of this, and man, you can't wait to see how it's all going to come together. And like I tell you, the NFL stands for not for long. Things change, and on paper, everyone looks good, man. But we got to wait and see what the reality of this stuff is going to look like. Cannot wait. This is going to be a great season. I just know it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to get through the preseason because, I've got all these notes on the preseason. Everybody looks crisp in the preseason. That's literally the point. Everybody comes in, they tell you that they look amazing, everything's going great, and they come out week one of the preseason. Everybody's rusty. The game's awful, and we progress into the regular season where we kind of get to see the full picture, where all the puzzle pieces kind of get put in. They fit real nice, and we get to see what these teams are actually able to build through the offseason.
I'm looking at Sauce Gardner. We're watching Hard Knocks too while we do the show. He's taller than Aaron Rodgers. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. He's a big guy. It makes
Good
sense.
Lord.
Makes sense why he was.
Well, I met him at the draft. I interviewed him when he got drafted in Las Vegas. He did not look that tall.
Oh,
then again, he was sitting down in the chair.
The cameras add 2 inches. That's what it is.
Oh,
the cameras add 2 inches.
But he was that tall. He was sitting right next to Aaron Rodgers, and he's got Aaron Rodgers about 2 inches, it looked like.
I think Aaron Rodgers might actually just be shorter than we expect him to be.
Oh, my goodness. That's okay. I didn't mean to throw you off there, but I thought that was pretty interesting.
No, that was I never thought about it like that, because it makes sense why he's that's not why he is as good as he is, but it definitely helps. Man, he's good. Yeah.
Indeed.
But All right. So, to kick off the AFC South, let's talk a little bit of Jaguar football, a little bit of Jacksonville here, if you don't mind. Go ahead and kick it off with these guys. Jacksonville had a busy offseason, to say the least. They had 13 total draft picks, 7 went to the defense, 6 went to the offense. And they were able to retool a couple of big positions for them. They were able to bring in Andrew Wingard at safety. That was a big sign. They got Dwayne Smoot on the D-line. Yeah. That was a big one. They brought in Calvin Ridley, who has been an absolute menace at camp so far. His routes are crisp. He's moving quickly. He came in at game shape, which is not always what you get when you get a year off of the sport. They come back. A lot of times the guys are a little clunky. They're not necessarily in playing shape, but Calvin Ridley came prepared. So it's exciting. Calvin Ridley adds quite a versatile dynamic to that offense.
Well, and he's hungry too. I'm sure he paid for his sins, so to speak, NFL sins of gambling. And man, he got one of the harshest penalty. It's amazing. And I know we'll talk about this later, that guys are still not, understanding the NFL's gambling policy. But man, he paid a brutal price for that. But I think he's going to come back with a chip on his shoulder. And he's with the right team, a team that's trending. And it's the reason why we're talking about the AFC South today.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it helps that the Jaguars had already kind of put in the groundwork around him, right? Like Calvin Ridley, it's not the Calvin Ridley show. He's not all alone. They brought in Christian Kirk last year on that massive contract. Christian Kirk paid dividends. Christian Kirk is a good wide receiver.
He did.
And then they bring in Zay Jones, veteran Zay Jones, off of, I believe, the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken.
Because he wasn't getting, he just wasn't, he was probably like the third option.
He was the third receiver,
and once they got Devontae Adams, then he knew he probably wasn't going to even be that option.
Exactly. And right now, in terms of Jaguars camp, if you listen to what they're actually talking about on the camp coverage and what have you on ESPN and whatnot, he looks good. That is, Zay Jones has given them a clear-cut wide receiver too so far. As it stands, Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones have kind of pushed themselves into that upper echelon for the actual receiving core that Jacksonville has going on down there, which is nice to see. I mean, anytime a veteran receiver can come in off of, like you said, he was a bench player more or less for the Raiders. Anytime you can get one of those guys to come in and immediately contribute to your starting core, one, it's a testament to how good your coaching is. And two, I mean, that's it. You're not paying $25 million for a receiver to put good stats up. He's going to produce at a good level for an affordable contract for a team that is trending towards the right direction in terms of wins.
You said the right thing, coaching. And one thing about the Jacksonville Jaguars, people need to put some respect on Doug Peterson's name. A man that won a Super Bowl with the Eagles and now got this Jacksonville Jaguars team looking good. He used to be a quarterback himself, and we saw that debacle of a situation with Urban Myers and Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. I mean, just look how quick this turnaround has been for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ask the Chargers about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They remember.
Oh, they know. Oh, yeah. I guarantee they're watching that film almost every day right now.
I mean, this team, Doug Peterson doesn't get the respect, and I don't know why. I still can't believe the guy got fired from Philly. But, they probably wish they had him coaching versus those Chiefs last year. Doug Peterson is a good coach, and it's going to show. That's what Jacksonville is, a team. Ooh, watch out, AFC South.
That I do agree with you there. I think Doug Peterson is an unsung hero amongst coaches, to say the least. What he was able to do with Philadelphia on the Super Bowl run and win in the big game with Nick Foles, who doesn't have a job right now, might I add. He is not a starting quarterback. And Doug Peterson was able to win. For now. Yeah. But it just seems like Doug Peterson is he's almost like a Mike Tomlin. Like he's one of those coaches that the players really connect with well.
Yeah.
So it makes the process of gelling a lot easier whenever the coach is a likable guy, but he's also incredibly good at what he does. It just feels like a more efficient way to run a team.
Indeed. And it shows immediately. Look at what they did last year and finishing with a 5-game win streak, went to the playoffs, and but like we just said too, man, free agency, this division is not the same division anymore.
No, it's people used to laugh at the AFC South, but
Yeah.
hey, the AFC South is on the come up, man. All these rookie quarterbacks, and you've got some teams that are legitimately adding some firepower to what they've got going on. It's looking, for somebody who is a fan of the AFC South, it is exciting.
Well, look, we talk about Doug Peterson, but how about Frank Reich, who is that's right. Right, left.
Frank Reich is out. He is with Carolina.
Yeah, he's with Carolina now.
Shane
So
Steichen.
yeah. I keep forgetting about that. That's the one guy who, in Indy. Well, look, I mean, hey, Indy made their choices. I know they've been in the news a lot lately here, and 4-12 last year got a Anthony Richardson, who I don't have a lot of great things to say about Anthony Richardson, only because I remember what Oregon State did to them in the Las Vegas Bowl. We were out in Vegas, and Oregon State stayed at Virgin Hotels. So, that was my last memory of Anthony Richardson.
Man.
I know we shouldn't judge the guy on that one game. He got drafted. He looked like he's going to be the quarterback for the Colts.
So with that being said, his camp has gone incredibly well. So when the Colts brought him in, they did know that he was developmental prospect. Sounds a little harsh when you say it, but he was more of a developmental prospect despite where he was drafted. They knew that there was going to be work to do there, and he has progressed continuously through camp. His camp has progressively gotten better, and it is looking like, the Colts might not lose all their games, right? Like, Anthony Richardson is an incredibly talented football player. And if they can put together a couple of things, if they can figure out their run game, God forbid, like that would help him a lot. It'd be nice to have a rookie quarterback coming in that doesn't necessarily have the passing chops to have a run
But
game.
you know who Gardner Minshew is?
Hey.
And Gardner Minshew, now you're going to tell me, Jacob, if Gardner Minshew looks good in the preseason, that the Indy don't have a quarterback situation. They haven't named Richardson the starter yet, have they?
No, they haven't.
So, and we know Minshew. Didn't Minshew play his ball in Jacksonville?
He did.
So he's familiar with this division.
That is correct. Yes,
So
sir.
I'm just saying now, and look, Gardner Minshew, we saw some good games. We were talking about him. Boy, he was still in the highlights for a couple of weeks at one particular time. So I think there might be some little quarterback controversy coming soon.
I think that'd be good for Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
They would be better off not resting, but benching Anthony, let him acclimate to the speed of the NFL.
Yeah.
That Gardner's been here. Gardner's been here for a while. Gardner's won games. Gardner has lost games.
I mean, he's still a veteran, and I think it's an open competition right now.
I'd be willing to say, yeah, you were probably correct with that.
Just keep Jim Irsay out of it.
Man, it just
What? What's the coach name? Shane
Steichen.
Steichen. Just Coach Steichen. If you're listening to me and Jacob, don't let Irsay in your business. You guys don't have a running back now, so I don't know what me and Jacob are going to pick here as far as who's winning this division. But you better make things happen with your running back.
No kid, just make it happen. You either have to pay JT or you have to trade JT to somebody that will pay him, because he's an all-star running back. And right now their running back room is injured. The Colts is. JT's virtually their only option, and they're refusing to pay him, so he's not even there.
Because you said Drake is
I believe
also
Kenyon
hurt.
Drake is injured.
And who's the other one that just got hurt in practice the other day? Amidst the Jonathan Taylor situation, then another running back. I don't know who that. I don't have their depth chart in front of me, but I just think they're in a desperate situation now where Jonathan Taylor might get what he wants, because by default you got to pay the man.
Yeah, as he should. I mean, when there are no other options, like that's for one, it never should have come down to what it has. But two, I mean, that's what a not bad last option. But
Yeah.
they've got to make a decision there, because you can't push this all the way into the regular season with no back, because then you don't have anybody taking reps with the ones, and you have a whole lot of chemistry issues once the season starts.
And what an awful thing for Irsay has been very vocal here lately. What an awful thing to say, though. about your running back. And I know owners do not like when players call them out and put them on the spot and demand this, demand that. I get it. They take it personal, and he really had something to say about running backs in general, which are getting screwed, in my opinion. But when it comes to your own running back, you would think that he would take a different position on it. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. But without JT, I don't know, Indy.
Yeah, I just don't. It's going to be a lot harder to put butts in seats without Jonathan Taylor running for you, considering he's the most popular player on that team. Like that, if it makes money, it makes sense, right? That's how business works. And JT sells tickets.
Look, and speaking of selling tickets, they're not going to sell that many. They lost 7 in a row last year. That's all your fans remember is how you finished the season. Just think about it. You play 17 games, you lose the last 7 straight. So what are you going to do to make things better for your fan base? 4-12-1 is not going to get it. And so Indy's got some work to do.
They do. They have some work to do. And speaking of work to do, that's the whole mantra for the AFC South. If you really think of it, everybody's got a little bit of work to do. That on the up and up. Indy does have more than I do believe Indy ends up the seller of the AFC South this year.
Something tells me you're gonna tell me why you feel that way, Jacob.
I sure am. The Titans were a better team last year. The Jaguars were a better team last year. And the Texans made strides to get better over the offseason. I think Indianapolis will this ring true in 2 to 3 years? No. I do think that developmentally, I think the Colts will surpass at least 1 or 2 teams in the AFC South after this season. I just think that this year, they took a lot of high-risk moves, and I don't necessarily think that they are going to pan out in real time. I do believe that is going to take a little bit of time.
You're talking about the Titans?
I'm talking about the Colts.
Oh, the Colts.
No, I'm talking about
it's funny how the Colts and the Titans both lost 7 in a row to end the season. I'm not understanding how the Titans went 7-10 and were better than the Colts. I guess Derrick Henry makes that much of a difference.
Yeah. Well, he also got hurt. That's how they ended up losing all those games.
He did. Yeah, you're right about that.
But no, Derrick Henry that's why you pay your running backs. Jim Irsay, hey, that's why you do it right there, because your running back can make a difference, kind of like Derrick Henry does for the Titans.
But can you believe Tennessee at one time had Derrick Henry? They were willing to trade him. And I thought that, like, where the hell is this coming from?
Ridiculous, right? Like it's
this guy is 60% of your offense, and I know we're talking about the AFC South here, but just like with the Raiders and Josh Jacobs, like, okay, a guy that accounts for 60% of your offense, you're not paying him. Same thing with Irsay and Taylor. You take Derrick Henry from the Titans, and they're at the bottom.
They win 2 games at most.
Yeah.
I do believe that. Yeah, but luckily for the Titans, so I say luckily, there's an asterisk next to the word luckily.
Yeah.
Luckily for the Titans, Mike Vrabel's been pretty vocal this year, or this camp, about maybe not necessarily hammering Derrick Henry through the hole 57 times a game. They brought in DeAndre Hopkins. They have Treylon Burks. I really think that the Titans are going to make a conscientious effort to throw the ball more. You have Ryan Tannehill. You have 2 capable backups, and Malik Willis and Will Levis, whoever ends up taking the QB2 role and the QB3 role.
Oh, it should be Will Levis. Man, they have no confidence in Malik Willis. That experiment didn't work at all.
I feel bad. They do have him number 2 on the preseason game 1 depth chart. I'll give him that. I do think he ends up being trade bait. I think they end up trading Malik Willis. But as of right now, he is pegged as the number 2 quarterback on the depth chart. So good for him, because that experiment has failed astronomically up to this point.
You see the money they spent on Arden Key, the linebacker?
No.
They brought over from Jacksonville, $21 million. I mean, is this is somebody they picked up in free agency here, which they do need. Their defense has been suspect. As a matter of fact, I don't know how much longer Mike Vrabel is going to be able to hold that job. Hopefully, DeAndre Hopkins might be the one that saves his job. But man, they sure did spend a lot of money. They take somebody from their division. Arden Key, the linebacker from Jacksonville, is now a Tennessee Titan. So interesting there.
That is. That is, I like it when the players stay in the same division. I do enjoy.
Usually you don't see that.
Well, DeAndre Hopkins did it too, but it's an AFC South. It's a gem of the AFC South. Andre Johnson did it. DeAndre Hopkins did it. All the big names of all four big names of the AFC South the last 10 years have hopped within the same division, and it feels like it raises the level of competition. Right, like you come from one team, you have to play that team twice a year. They're the guys that didn't want to pay you. They're the guys that told you that you weren't good enough for the 53 man. So it's an extra chip on their shoulder for 2 extra games a season, and I'm here for it. I love that. I think it's a good part of the competition.
Well, so what do you think, Tennessee and Indy? How do they fare into? Because I think it just sounds like we both. Jacksonville is probably still the cream of the crop. In the AFC South?
Yeah. I think Jacksonville probably runs away with the division. I mean, some crazy things have happened, but Jacksonville should win. It is Jacksonville's division to lose. That's basically it. Is Jacksonville's division to lose. Do they
9-8 last year? Do you think they do better than 9-8?
I do. I think they win 11 games. I think 11 is going to be the bar for them.
Okay.
Doug Peterson came out, said he wanted Etienne to have 1,600 to 1,700 run yards this season. They have one of the best receiving corps in the league, right? On paper, one of the best receiving corps in the league. Yeah, no, I think Jacksonville can pull off 11 games. They don't play in a very difficult division per se, and I think the Colts, they should sweep the Colts. They should probably they might split with the Texans, and they should probably split or sweep with the Titans. I'm going to lean sweep just the way that they're built. So yeah, I mean they could potentially win 5 conference games or 5 division games, which would be huge for them. It's theirs to lose. We probably disagree on who second in that division is going to end up being, but that's who do you have? Who do you like has to finish second in the AFC South?
You know what? And just because we've talked a lot about Tennessee and Indy, and because I'm going to probably put Indy last place. I'm struggling with the Texans and the Titans. Can the Texans, and believe me, they had one hell of a draft. They had probably the best draft in the NFL draft.
It was nice.
And I think, picking up Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud, I think that's going to be humongous there. I want to say that the Texans are going to be second, but something tells me I want to give them third. I like to see Houston finish second. Man, that would be one hell of a turnaround for that team. And you finish second in the AFC South, depending on how everything goes. That could be a wild card.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Part of me doesn't want them to make the wild card just because it is we're in the midst of a rebuild per se, right? So if you make wild card on the wild hair you win, draft stock is gone.
Yeah.
So your draft pick's bad, and we have Cleveland's picks, and those I really don't think those are going to knock.
But we said right before the show, man, look, I mean that's not far fetched for them to finish second place because with Dalton Schultz, man, that's a big steal from that. That's a hell of a good tight end there, and Case Keenum, man, that guy's just always he's a good guy to be there for C.J. Stroud. I just think that cornerback Shaquille Griffin coming over from Jacksonville. There's another guy who's in the same division now with the Texans. So it's not far fetched, man. And then they get the benefit. And my friend Denzel Perriman, who I hung out with there in Las Vegas. Yeah. Now he's on that defense now. I'm supposed to have him on the Sports King show here. So I can't wait to talk with him. But it's not far-fetched to say that they could finish second place behind Jacksonville.
I'm pulling for it hard. This is the most, albeit we did just take on 2 huge injuries for the offensive line. But this is the most stable offensive line we've had since our playoff run back in 2013, 2014. You know, we brought in Shaq Mason to man the left side. We have Laramie Tunsil locked down. We lost Scott Quessenberry at center, but we have Juice Scruggs that we just drafted, he is a mountain of a man. So as long as he can get schemed down, we'll be fine at center. And then you have Max Sharping, and then you have Titus Howard, who unfortunately is out. They released 4 to 6 weeks on injury for the broken right hand, which sounds more like a hairline fracture than an actual break. 4 to 6 is not a long time for an offensive lineman. So with the offensive line revamped, we brought in Devin Singletary to back up Damian Pierce.
Yeah.
Camp has looked good for our run game. That's nice. You have stuff like our receiving. We drafted Tank Dell, right? So you have John Mechie coming back off of cancer, who has been a monster at camp. You have Tank Dell, whom we drafted. You have Robert Woods, who came in the offseason. We have legitimate receivers that can catch the ball. I mean, we're going to miss Brandon Cooks a little bit, but I think John Mechie's hungrier, and I think John Mechie might be a perfect replacement for him.
Well, this team, rarely do you see a team that has a good draft and a good free agency.
Yes.
They had both. You mentioned Robert Woods, Dalton Schultz, even Jimmy Ward coming in at the free safety from the 49ers of all.
Oh, yeah. Miko wanted him.
So, I mean, come on. And we know that's where Miko came from. So they got pieces all over the place. So when you look at this, I'm just going to go ahead and say the Texans are going to be not the first, but close to it. Worse the second.
Hey.
I'm going to give them second place.
I'll take it.
I don't know how many wins that's going to equate to, but on the defense, they got a young offense with this quarterback, but I think he's got a lot of help. But I think the defense is going to be good enough for them to win close games and stay in games. So that could be an improvement of 7 or 8 games in that division. That should get you second place.
A lot of games, in that division.
That should get you second place almost. You add 8, 9 more games. 8 more wins. That's 11. That's 11. 11 wins there.
I'll take it.
So I say they finish second place behind Jacksonville in the AFC South. I can see it. Will Anderson, we even talked about him.
Oh, man. D'Amico Ryans has been singing his praises at practice. He has nothing but great. I've never seen a head coach just drool over a prospect like Miko has. Will Anderson
is a beast.
He's a monster, and the motor never goes off. He is going to wreck. We haven't seen something like, hopefully, right? This is hypothetical, but hopefully, we haven't seen anything like Will Anderson since we drafted J.J. Watt. And that's
I'm going to be honest with you. I like the marketing. Even when those guys got drafted, the bond that Stroud and Anderson are building, man, you see it.
Face of the franchise.
You see it. You see it coming. So watch out, Indianapolis and Tennessee, because you're going to be saying, like they said it back on the moon, Houston, we have a problem.
With that, I did like that you brought up Jimmy Ward earlier, right? Because Jacksonville's the leader of the division, right? We both agree on that. The Texans brought in Jimmy Ward at safety, and they have Jalen Petre coming back from last season, and they are being lauded as one of the best safety tandems in the league at camp right now. And we haven't had a good secondary in a long
this
time.
team, trust me, folks, and this is serious stuff. This could be, and you see teams make a good turnaround. They're going to benefit from a worst place schedule. That should give them a lot of good wins.
Absolutely. Quality wins.
Yeah, quality wins, yeah. So we got Jacksonville first. We got Houston second.
And then line it out with the rest of that.
So probably Tennessee and Indy. Indy might just, I don't know, man. The whole Irsay running back situation, Indy might finish last. Tennessee, I know we haven't talked a lot about Tennessee. I don't know, because they both were so horrible last year down the stretch. I would give third place if I had to. I might want to give it to Tennessee now because I don't like what's going on in Indy.
Yeah, I think I'm in full agreement with you there. I think Tennessee could take over the second spot from Houston if they stay healthy and they gel well. I mean, they do have a good team. It's just they are always one injury away from no longer being a competitive team, it seems like.
Yeah, but they just fell from grace too fast for me. You know, they had that window of opportunity, and the Bengals come in there in that playoff game and beat them in Nashville, and things haven't been the same for them. They were a team that all they had to do was win, and they were, you know, projected to go deep, and I just never thought Tannehill was the guy that could take anybody there.
Sure.
But now look at Tennessee. Now you're talking about no one's mentioning their names anymore. It's, you know, you went from talking about Tannehill to Joe Burrow, and now it's Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. Those are the cream of the crop quarterbacks there in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes, now Aaron Rodgers in that division. So I think Tennessee, I think they, like we used to say in the Navy, they missed the boat. They missed the boat.
I think it's almost like a Dallas situation. I think Tennessee's window more or less closed the moment they traded A.J. Brown. That's why they ended up having to double back and sign DeAndre Hopkins this year. Traylon Burks was good, don't get me wrong, but he's injury prone. It just didn't make sense. He was injured off and on all last year. And A.J. Brown was that consistent. He was the big guy for them. They expected him to go off. He gets traded to Philadelphia. Now he's a superstar in Philadelphia. And Tennessee doesn't have that pure number one, or didn't prior to the Hopkins signing, but they didn't have that pure number one anymore. And it felt like their offense took a big step back losing him.
The whole, from what I could see on the outside looking in, just the whole chemistry has changed with the Titans. Yeah. You know, just from, you know, the talks of trading Derrick Henry. I mean, how the hell do you think that makes him feel? You think so you think he's going to come out and want to, you know, just be his best? And I don't know. I just think the air is just out of the balloon in Tennessee.
I agree with that. Why would you give 150% if your employer was willing to trade the rights to you for a bag of peanuts just on a whim?
So I don't know. If I'm Derrick Henry, I'm thinking, man, these guys didn't really want me, and I've been running and for these guys, and I just don't think it's a Tannehill. You know, there was the drama last year with him and Malik Willis. He felt some kind of way because they drafted a quarterback and they put him out there, and Malik Willis looked like crap. Tannehill wants no part in his development. Yeah. You know, and I'm like, man, Tennessee's got a mess. That's why I say Vrabel might be out.
That might be come week 6 to week 8, that might be one of the hot takes of the NFL is that seat starts heating up for Braves.
I think it is, and Hopkins. Hopefully, he can come in there and help them because, like you said, Burks. You know, I love that kid from Arkansas. Man, he could catch any damn thing.
Oh, he's gonna be a stud. I like Traylon Burks.
Yeah. So we should see. But then that's why we look at Indy. I'm flip flopping because man, unless Irsay gets it together, Jonathan Taylor's pissed. And then just think the rest of the team is looking at how you publicly went out there and kicked your running back under the bus.
Yep.
Teams be like, man, we're not okay. We're just gonna go out and play some football. What the hell? Just pay us every Tuesday like you do.
And we're just gonna go out and have fun.
Yeah, they get paid every Tuesday, and that's why every Tuesday is an off day, so they can go spend that money.
Absolutely. Oh man. All right. Well.
That's the AFC.
Yeah, that wraps up the AFC
South.
Huh? Yeah, that's the whole thing.
You got your projections? We got the projections. That's it.
We covered the projections. Basically, I had like a few more like nitty gritty stats, but the only thing that I have in my notes that we didn't cover was I listed off at the end of every different team that I covered what their preseason games were against, like what teams they played. But who cares?
Preseason. You know, we're sitting here, we're watching Hard Knocks here, and of course, I think the Commanders are over there and on the NFL Network. I don't know preseason. I tell you what I look at for preseason. Not to mention, I'm trying to get my depth chart together for fantasy football. So I do pay attention to it. And I will watch all 4 quarters. I know some people are like, are you nuts? Are you bored? No, I really, because, you need to know your depth charts. You need to know what these teams have to offer. And if you're a fan of these teams, you'll see these guys putting out some good production, and you want to see them on the field. Like if your starters ain't getting it done, hey, where's that guy that had 150 yards catching in the preseason? Put them out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the preseason's for development. The preseason is so you can see who the wide receiver 3 is. That way, in week 8, when you have an injury, you know who's stepping into that role. Like you have an idea of what they're capable of. And the preseason is for fleshing out the back half of the 53-man roster for sure. And it's for true football fans. The preseason is good to watch. That is because you're not watching it purely for entertainment value. It holds other things. You're kind of like what you said with fantasy. Like my uncle and I have run our own fantasy league for the better part of the last decade. And in ours, we have individual defensive players on ours. So you have a safety, you have an edge player, you have a corner, you have a linebacker. It adds an edge of difficulty to it because if you don't pick the good defensive players, that's half your team is not producing. So it makes you have to do a deeper dive. You have to pay more attention to what everybody's doing on these teams.
That's true.
Because the preseason matters for things like that for normal people, and then development for the teams themselves.
But I will say this. It is not indicative of how a team would do in the regular season. Case in point, Jacksonville 0-4 in the preseason last year. They make the playoffs.
Yep.
Houston Texans 3-0 in the preseason.
Preseason champs.
Preseason champs there. So I'm just letting you know, folks, so you're getting all excited about it. If you want a preseason champs, then the Texans.
Well, that's just like the year that the Patriots ran the table. They went 0-4 in the preseason that year, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they dropped all 4 preseason games and then ran the table the regular season. That is, the preseason is not indicative of anything that is to come.
Raiders 4-0 preseason champs. I'm just gonna for the Chicago Bears preseason champs.
Hey, Chicago's going to be good this year. We're not covering Chicago on this show, but Chicago's going to be good this year.
So it's just funny to look back at those records to see how they done. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I think the AFC South is going to be an interesting division this year, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a great year for the South. I think the AFC South is going to be one of the funner divisions to watch. 2 rookie quarterbacks, a quarterback controversy in Tennessee, and then you have Jacksonville, who's got an established quarterback, and they've just fleshed out an already playoff-driven team. I think the AFC South is going to be chippier and more competitive than what people are giving it credit for right now.
And I think the Texans are going to give Jacksonville a run for the money. I say they split this year.
I think they split.
Yeah. I think that Texans defense is going to stun a lot of people this year.
I'm not sure who Houston's slotting the cornerback role opposite of Derek Stingley, but I do know with Jalen Petre and Jimmy Ward there at safety, and then all the additions we've made at the defensive line, like we're built specifically to beat Jacksonville right now. So yeah, that's split. I'm 100% with you, unless we take 2 somehow, which I don't see. But if that'd be the only way that I didn't see a split is if we took both.
I guess I'll see you at NRG Stadium.
Hey, I will see you there, buddy. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in to the Coach's Quarters. It seems that we have wrapped up the AFC South. Thank you for sitting through and listening to this show, and we will be back soon. Please give a huge round of applause to my friend and mentor, Mr. Mean Gene, the Sports King. And hopefully he will be back on this show with us in the future, at least sparingly.
In the words of Bart Scott, can't wait.
Thank you, man. Peace.
Peace.